Welcome back to Techie Chap. In this short but brief revisit to OpenBSD 7.4, I wanted to show how audio is controlled within the OpenBSD 7.4 operating system. I was going to put this in the main review that I did, however I thought it might be useful for people who are diving into OpenBSD to basically find quickly if they need to manage their audio. Now, the OpenBSD website actually has a really good page on this, as you can see, FAQ Multimedia, because the audio recording is disabled by default in OpenBSD, and that's down to security. They don't want people listening in on your conversations by default. You have to enable that privilege yourself. So we're going to paste this command in, which is sysctl kern.audio.record equals 1. Previously, that setting was set to 0, as you can see there, and we are just going to add that also into the /etc/sysctl.conf, which means that enabled audio recording will be enabled every time I now boot into this instance of OpenBSD. So it's fairly straightforward, but if you didn't know and you were used to just opening a GUI control panel somewhere and messing around with the microphone in there, it can be a little bit of a different, let's say just different, when you find that the microphone doesn't work on your online meeting, for example, or in Audacity. Now, in my case, I am also using a USB audio interface to record the audio. I have a Jabra USB meeting device that I've had for a number of years. Just find it really useful, has a pretty good audio sound as well. And I'm going to plug that into the laptop here, and we are going to see if OpenBSD detects that USB audio device. So you can see actually the documentation in OpenBSD is very good. It's of a very high standard, and actually I like the way it's written. I was going to say I like the way it writes. I like the way it's written because it's pretty plain English. It's not covering everything in a sort of technical garnish, if you like, so you don't really understand what's going on. It's actually quite plain English on how to get things done within OpenBSD, and I find that quite refreshing. Now, it would have been a bit more helpful if I'd actually looked for the audio device rather than USB. I was just thinking, because I've plugged a USB device in, it's going to be in there, and of course it will be, but the more sensible thing to do is to type MESG, and then we're just going to grep for U audio, which is USB audio. Now, the key thing here is to see first that Jabra Speak 510 USB is indeed detected, and it is configuration 1, interface 1. Now that's the key bit here. That's the key bit, because we need to set the audio now, or the audio control server, to be essentially interface 1. And so this is how we do that. We type SNDIOCTL, and we type server dot device equals 1, because it's interface 1, and interface 1 is my Jabra Speak 510 USB, and it really is as straightforward as that. It might not seem that straightforward, particularly if, like me, you were coming from a GUI background where you would go into some control panel somewhere and just set it there. However, once you've got this, it does seem quite straightforward. So we now need to test that this USB device is indeed working. So we are going to install Audacity, and first things first, we are going to check that Audacity is actually available in the repositories, and of course it is. We've done a pkg_info dash capital Q, and we've looked for Audacity. It's there, and we are now going to add Audacity into OpenBSD using pkg_add to add that application to the OpenBSD install. Now that didn't take too long to install. Audacity is quite a small and neat program, so we'll just double check that that has indeed installed. There it is. All right, so that's gonna start up for the first time. All right. Now, as far as Audacity is concerned, it only knows about one device. It doesn't know about, say, for example, the built-in microphone on the laptop. And as you can see there, I'm already capturing audio, but it is of a quite low volume. But I am capturing the audio from the actual Jabra USB device there, because we've set that as the control server. Now the level is quite low, and there I'm just scratching on the top of the Jabra USB audio. So all we need to do, obviously that is quite low, you could barely hear that, is we are going to need to go into audio setup, just check that we are set to default, and we just need to put the levels up in Audacity. We just stick the levels up on the input there on the microphone. We can just push that up, and now when we press record, so you can see that the audio is a lot louder straight away, and we are indeed recording from the Jabra USB. So USB audio recording is now working within OpenBSD 7.4. So fairly straightforward once you know the steps. However, if like me you hadn't had to do all this before, it can seem a bit of a mystery at first, but thanks again to the OpenBSD team for a really good online manual experience. I thought I would add this to the Techie Chap channel, just because I think it's just a useful thing to have, and if you do need to find out how to get your USB audio device working on OpenBSD 7.4, well, here you go, that's how you do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, then please click on like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching Techie Chap.